This is a very exciting day. Today, I'm in my garage, which is basically a functioning wood shop thanks to my husband. Today, I am going to build seed trays. This was my first prototype, and there are some things that I want to fix about it. First of all, for better airflow for seedlings when they're in here, I want to have a little shorter sides. The other thing I'm going to do differently is I'm going to do my best to not overshoot and staple, basically miss the board when I staple. So I'm going to try to improve my skills as I do this. And the third thing I'm going to do differently is I'm actually going to try to do 2 different styles of boxes. One with 4 sides like this, and the other with 3 sides. I'm going to cut my boards into the correct lengths, and then we'll go from there. This is going to be really loud, so let's fast forward. These are the last of our cuts for today. The next step is going to be to set up the table saw. I'm going to get my husband to help me set that up, and then we'll get some of these boards cut down into some narrower pieces. Yeah. If you don't have a planer, like we just happen to have a planer because of other projects we plan to do in the future, you don't have to plane down the wood. You could sand it, or you could just leave them rough. The reason I planed it is, first of all, we already had it. It was easily accessible. But secondly, it just made applying this oil much easier, smoother, less splinters and stuff. So that was my reasoning for doing that. But I did want to say, if you don't have access to one of these, it's okay. It's just not necessary. All right, so I got all my cuts. I had miscalculated, so I had to go back and repeat the process just to get 6 more little pieces. But we have what we need now, so I'm going to start assembling, and I'll show you what that looks like. These 2 pieces are going to be the bottom of the box. First, I just want to make sure that my measurements look okay. So far, so good. So the next thing we'll do is we're actually going to build this upside down. Those edges are lining up nicely. Now I got to use this handy staple gun. Try to get it as close to the edge as possible. I'll do 4 on a side. Edges. I always make sure to keep my fingers far away. Do not want to get stapled. All right, let's see, moment of truth. Oh, amazing. I didn't shoot any staples through the side. I hit the mark on all of them by adding a staple right here. Again, I'm keeping my hands far away. But let me just finish up the rest of these. All right, so we're at the oiling stage. I'm using this linseed oil and beeswax blend. And I feel like at this point I should probably give a little backstory. You might be wondering, Sierra, why are you going to all this trouble? You can buy quality seed trays online. And that is true. For context, I'm the kind of person that usually I will shop for quite a while for something before I make a decision and purchase. As I was doing research, looking into everything seed starting, I had already decided I was going to do soil blocking. So I was looking for something that worked for that. And I had found some good plastic options. But in the course of my research, I came across a couple gardeners on YouTube, Seasonal Homestead and Blossom and Branch Farms, that were using wood seed trays that they made themselves. And this just eliminated more plastic out of their gardens. So I thought that was really interesting. My other motivation for this was I thought I could save a few bucks. It didn't really turn out to be the case. I'd say probably if it was just for the cost of the wood, this is just like cheap cedar fencing quality material from Home Depot and Lowe's. I came in probably around 30 bucks for about 9 boards. And that'll be enough to probably end up getting me about 6 or 8 trays altogether, depending on the styles I do. But with this oil, which this little thing costs about 36 bucks, I'm really not saving money anymore. And the reason I'm doing this is I needed to find a way to seal these up so that I wasn't just getting water dripping constantly while I was watering my seedlings as they grew. The other creators that I saw using wood seed trays, they were mostly growing in greenhouses and places that it would be okay if you had a little bit of moisture and stuff. However, I'm going to be in an indoor space. I don't want to deal with moisture dripping, especially since I'm going to have seed starting lights. So I ended up finding this. I had heard about linseed oil before, and I found this one that had beeswax. I'm hoping this will help just keep the moisture in the trays more than on the floor. I did come across an issue as I was putting these together. This tray in particular, it ended up with a big crack in the middle because I'm using 2 boards and somehow they didn't end up tight. I didn't cinch them together well enough. So I actually problem solved this, and hopefully this works. But essentially what I did is I took some of the leftover wood shavings from the planer and I applied some linseed oil. I shoved them down in there. I taped the bottom, applied more linseed oil. I'm hoping that what this will do is basically act like a more natural wood filler, because I didn't want to use wood glue with, when you're introducing more chemicals. But this stuff is like food grade. You'd use this for oiling like salad spoons, or people use it for handmade rolling pins and stuff like that. So this is very safe. I'm not worried about it affecting my food quality or my plants. So that's why I'm going this direction. So you might be able to see better now. The center crack is what I filled with the wood shavings. And I'm just working this around, getting it into all the crevices. Pretty thick. This might take time to dry, but I'm not in a hurry, so that is okay. I also ended up doing 2 styles of boxes. This one has the 4 sides. I added little handles to carry them. And I did a couple that were the 3-sided. And so with these ones, I'm hoping to try some wicking fabric, and I can always add a 4-side later if I decide I don't like it. These will also get sealed, but we'll see how that works out. But with these ones that are enclosed by the 4 sides, I had this thought I could use just some unbleached wax paper to line the bottom with, just as a secondary precaution, because I will be bottom watering these still, just not using wicking fabric for these ones. So that's my thought process. I have no idea how it's going to go, so it's like totally an experiment. I'm just going to be figuring it out, but that's what I've been kind of mulling over and thinking through. I will say one of the downsides to this design is because of just the natural width of these boards, which are 5.5, these bottom ones, my inside space is just under 10 inches wide, which means I'll really only be able to fit 4 soil blocks. That is one downside of these, and one positive of doing the 3-sided trays is it just gives me a little extra space I can fit a few more, so I can do 50 instead of 40. If you guys are interested in watching other people build boxes like these, I will go ahead and link the 2 videos that I drew inspiration from. Okay, one last look. These have their first coat. I'm going to take them to a warmer space to dry for the next 24 hours before applying the second one. I'm really happy with how this project is going so far. These 4 seed trays will be a good start, but I'm probably going to need 2, maybe 4 more, which I can do a little later when the wood's ready. So thank you for watching. Merry Christmas. I'll see you in a week or 2, probably close to the new year. Have a good one. Bye.